So opening ceremony today, I'm terrible. I sometimes refer to it as pointless parading, which it isn't. You know, we're going and we're representing our country, so you've got to take a great amount of pride in that.
England.
Perfect. Thank you.
England? Are you sure? Have you seen how far you're up? Oh, look. I'm not looking. I can't. I'm feeling nice.
Ce que vous attendez, les Français.
Hello, fly fishing friends. My name is Eduardo Ferrero. I am the second vice president of FIPS Moosh, which I'm very pleased to represent on this occasion. We are in the beautiful village of Fontrume, and first of all I would like to thank the whole community for the impressive welcome we have received. We are going to see some of the highest technical levels ever seen in a fly fishing competition. I wish you all the very best of luck and tight lines for the competition. I now, on behalf of FIPS Moosh, declare the 43rd World Fly Fishing Championship open. Thank you.
Head southeast on Rue Mayol towards Traverse de l'Hermitage.
What do we have to do now,
In
Howard?
200 metres,
So
turn left onto
it's the
Rue
captain's
Colvay.
meeting this morning, so we'll draw the country number, and then I'll draw the groups for all of the anglers in the team, including my own. So basically it's all my fault at this point now if it starts going wrong with the draw.
Turn left onto Rue Colvay, then turn
Can't
left
really
onto
control
Avenue
that, I've just got
Dumay.
to pull a number out of a hat. So the captain's meeting is basically where I take on all the blame for getting people bad pegs. So basically I go up and I'll draw out team number and also the individual anglers groups. So that basically sets what all of the lads in the team, including myself, what order will fish through the venue. So it gives us the rotation. So once I've picked a group and a colour for them, that's them sat in the group now for the rest of the week. So, and everybody's always got, certain preferences. I don't want to fish the lake first, or I want to fish that second, or whatever, for whatever reason. But unfortunately, you can't do anything about that. That's where it becomes my fault, because when my hand goes in the thing and pulls it out, I'm sealing everybody's fate to some degree. And then the other bit of the captain's meeting is we have a lot of discussion around the rules.
This is not normal.
This is not normal. From the sign upstream, never.
The rules don't change per se every year, but there are rule modifications, local rule modifications, and occasionally the main framework of the rules has changed since the previous one. So there often is a lot of backwards and forwards over the rules, even ones that have been in for years, because we get new team captains and new team members who have not fished before asking questions which the majority of the room already really know the answer to. So the captain's meetings can get heated sometimes, and they sometimes go on for a lot longer than they're supposed to.
No, I understand. I don't, as an outsider, it does not seem like it's possible that should be a fair rotation.
So, happy with the draw?
Yeah, it's not a bad draw actually at all. We've got two of our strongest lake anglers starting on the lakes. I'm starting on the Grayling River, the Aude, which we've probably got the least relevant practice on, so that's not too bad. Hopefully I can work something out for there. And then the good thing is that because we're fishing Tony as the reserve, the draw's fallen so that Tony's got 2 days full rest in between both of the lakes, which is good because the lakes are a bit of a grueler having to climb up there.
So it's good that he's got like a full 2 day rest in between having to do 2 of the harder sessions. So really, all in all, it's probably the draw I'd have been most happy with. So that's good. So that's a good start. So you never know. Hopefully it bodes well for the rest of the week, but we'll have to wait and see. Could do with a break to decompress, but that's not going to happen.
I'm going to do a few bits and pieces tonight. I've got a few flies to tie as usual. It's never ending, but there'll come a point tonight where I'll just draw a line under it early and say, that's it, I'm good to go now, and then I'll get some sleep before tomorrow, because we've got early starts every morning. They're like, I think we're up at 4 most mornings. So it's going to be, the next 5 days are probably going to be physically the hardest worlds I've ever fished in.
Ready?
I'm so ready. 4:30. Not too early.
Day 1. Fly Fishing World Championships.
Do you remember how to drive stick now? This is a lot.
It's the first day, so I'm on the Aude River. Obviously, early morning start. Got to get to the coach now, find the coach amongst the melee. Boys. Then we've got to drive. Don't really know how long the drive is. Depends where I draw, and I'll not know the draw until I'm on the coach. For me, when I get on the coach now, I try and go to sleep. And I usually can manage, to be honest, depending on how rough the ride is. You know, if I remember back to the first ones I did, I was just a bag of nerves and hyped up and wondering about the beat and everything. But the longer you do it, the more you realise that changes nothing. And you're much better off just sitting on the coach and going to sleep. And that's what I tend to do. So as best I can, I'll sleep all the way till my name gets shouted out. So really with the draw, they'll usually do it en route to the venue. Occasionally they'll get you all off the coach and into a car park or something and do the draw there, and then you'll go to separate controllers' cars, and I think that's what's happening this year. So we'll get to a central meeting point, we'll all get kicked off the coach, we'll do the draw, I'll meet the controller, and then he's going to drive me to the beat, wherever that is, and then he will also drive me to the second beat, because we're doing split sessions this year. So 2 hours move with an hour changeover, and then 2 hours. We have a 2 beat first one.
Yes, now first.
Yeah, and we check.
We go on the middle.
Okay.
And you see from the left and from
Perfect. Yeah.
left and right.
Yeah. So I arrived at the beat, and the first section on the Aude, it's in the town. It's right through the middle of a small city, and all of the banks I'm high looking down into the water, so I've got really good vision of what's in the beat. And a big surprise was the sheer number of big grayling. I mean, the beat was shallow, long, flat, not really much flow, and the bottom was covered in the biggest grayling I've seen since I got in France. And bearing in mind, I haven't seen very many, but these are big fish. And I can see some big trout mixed in with them as well. But they're all spread out on some very thin, shallow, flat water, and they're not feeding. Some of the grayling I could see digging in the bottom, which sometimes is okay, and sometimes it can be a bit of a problem when they're really focused on the bed of the river. Check the axis at the bottom, I might start up here. You know, that was playing on my mind a little bit, because we'd seen nothing like that in practice. The good thing was, the beat was full of fish, and I was expecting, hopefully, to catch quite a lot of fish out of it. The only thing concerning me, like I said, was They didn't appear to be feeding. They appeared very, very static and sedentary, glued to the bottom.
The problem is there's a nice bit to fish at the top, then there's a very big shallow flat full of big fish, grayling and trout, which might be extremely difficult to catch. We don't know. We've not fished this kind of water or even seen this kind of water in the practice areas because it was all closed. So now you've got a decision to make between going somewhere that potentially might be easier versus somewhere that definitely has a lot of fish, because the access to the beach's really hard. So we'll just have to see. I'll probably start at the top just in case there's a big number of low 20 centimetre fish available there. It's a risk, but it's one of those things you just got to take a calculated risk. If there's a lot of fish there should be a lot of fish in the better looking water at the top.
Three rods high?
Two. Nymphing rod, dry fly / sight nymphing rod. I'm going to have to do that because of that middle bit. I can't carry 3 because the beat's too separated. Can't leave anything on the bank because we're in a town. So I'll have to carry everything I need. I'll have to ditch my spur net in the car. I'll have to come back for it if I lose it, which shouldn't happen, but this will be a tough one, I think. I'm sure there's a lot of fish available, but it's the nature of it as a beat that's going to make it difficult. The rising over there, I've just come up, but rising fish again. I could catch them, no doubt I can catch them, but I just don't know how long it'll take me to get one. You know, and if I get one, does it spook them all? You know, it's one of those things. Grayling are usually tolerant, but these grayling might not be. Another one rose there. Sort of makes you think. Walk the first 50 yards without fishing. Getting above the bridge, slow down, fish through this. Took me 30 minutes, maybe max, to get up in here. I'm going to go up into the head where the water looks good. Just see if I can start catching these. I'm in the right position to keep going. If I can't, I'm in the right position to just plough up the river.
What's made you change your mind?
Started rising.
My plan was to go to the very bottom, get in, be very, very careful for the first 20 or 30 yards and get a gauge on how spooky the fish were and how catchable they were, because I sort of hoped that if I could get in and I could pick my way slowly up through that big flat water picking fish off, I could get enough in 2 hours to keep me up in the mix. It became apparent really, really quickly that you literally could not get close enough to them to fish to them without spooking them when you're in the water. And when I did get close enough without spooking them or alerting them, they wouldn't eat anything I was giving them. So I tried a lot of things, and with hindsight now, I probably spent too much time trying to work out how to catch fish that didn't want to eat anything. I went down to stupidly thin line, 0.07. I fished tiny flies, i.e. 24s. I fished massive flies like squirmies and eggs and flies with no beads. I tried unweighted shrimps. I tried dries over the top of them to see if I could get them to rise blind. And it was just a complete time sink. I could not get them to eat. So towards the end of the session, I pushed into the shallower water at the head where there had to be a chance of catching some fish. And I did catch some fish out of there. Didn't get loads, but I got a few nice grayling and some trout. And I had 2 pieces of that either side of an island. Both looked good, One side had fish in it, the other one I never had a fish out of. So again, with hindsight, if I'd have known that, which it's pretty impossible to know unless you live there, I would have concentrated on the right side and fished it slower rather than fishing both the left and the right in the time I had left. So really not a great start in that very, very first session, particularly given the number of fish there. And to be honest, as I was leaving the beat, I said to the controller in sort of broken French, pidgin English, you know, both ways, that if the conditions improved and the fish started to feed, because we had bright sun as well, which didn't help, a lot of fish would be caught off that beat. And I think later on in the comp there probably was. When those grayling were rising, they were easy to catch. When they were glued to the bottom, stirring at the gravel, they were an absolute nightmare.
Oh, okay, terrible. I can see a lot of fish, a lot.
Yes.
But they don't.
Eating.
No. Yeah, I didn't do very well then. I see loads of fish on the bottom, couldn't get them to eat. Saw a few rise, couldn't get anywhere near them. So I'd spent so long trying to make them ones eat in the middle, I had to go to the top where there was some faster water. I thought I could maybe get a few, and I've managed 4 and lost 2, just on-off rattles, all in one little tiny place, all on a single nymph on 0.08. I got broke a few times as well. Got one nice grayling, but there's literally hundreds of big grayling, I can see them, but it didn't matter. Anything I put near them, I just turned away from it. I'd even had 20s, 22s on with biggish beads to get it down. Tried loads of different colours. I really wasted way too much time in the middle of there. I should have done what my first plan was, which was to start here, because I blew a few fish out of this, which I could have caught when I was wading up trying to get to the good stuff. So hopefully if I've got the same kind of water in the next session, I might be able to make a little bit more of it, but we'll see. Lesson learned.
And then we moved on to the second one. So we transferred in the car, parked at the side of like a really fast mountain road, and then the controller got a great big rope out the back of the car and said, oh, we have to climb into your beat.
Bit of rock climbing.
Hey Howard, in your 18 years of doing the world, has your controller ever had to take a rope with him?
No, I've never abseiled to the beat, ever. Looks like it's about to happen.
We climbed down this really steep bank with all the gear, and when I dropped into the bottom, I really didn't know what to think.
You're gonna have to sort of stay behind me on this one.
It's fine. What do you reckon you'll get almost one? Will you try and see the whole thing?
I'll fish through this. It'll take me half an hour at least, probably. I'll get a read off it then. The problem is I don't know whether to fish it fast or careful, because I've got no idea of knowing what's up there. That could be it. I think the rest of it could be crap. So the best approach might be to spend full 2 hours in that, very carefully fishing every rock. Or it might be to blast through that 15 minutes and hit the other 6 bits that I like it around the corner.
It was like a big, stagnant, very slow, deep moving pool, big rocks in it, discoloured water, and zero access up the banks. It's just an absolute jungle. And you can't go ploughing up the river. You can't go wading in the river and look in and see what you've got, because you don't know whether you're smashing up what fishing you've got. You just have no idea.
Oh.
I was going off the controller saying, oh yeah, the beat's really long, it's 400 or 500 metres, it's up there, it might be 600 metres. But I don't know what that 600 metres of, it might all be unwadable. On that one I started right at the bottom. I did a little bit of test fishing, for want of a better description, in the slow stuff, which was not good looking water, just to see if there was anything there. And there was a little bit of faster water, and when I got to it, then I could see that it was over bedrock, which is never good. But I threw a few casts around, I fished it around the rocks to see if there was any trout, fished around any cracks I could see in the bedrock, because often you'll get fish line in them, and I did pick up a grayling, I think, there pretty quick. So I fished a little bit harder there in case there was more, because often where there's one there's more. And then I moved and I was back into another big deep flat pool, which I waded around, got in the head in the faster water, which looked quite good. Fished in there for a little bit, but I moved again pretty quick, and when I got round the corner it really improved. There was some decent water in the middle, and I fished through 2 or 3 really good looking bits of water for a few more fish.
Well,
How did that go?
I don't know really. The water was worse and it looked like it had less fish in it. Definitely looked like a lot less fish. I caught a few more of them. It's just a massive beach, 600 metres. There's no access to look at it from anywhere. We're putting right at the bottom, the only access into it. And probably the first 350 were just canal with a little bit of running water in the middle. And up here it was a lot better, and I've caught most of my fish up in here. I got 1 on the way up and got another 4 in this bit. I've lost 2. The last 5 minutes I ran the other side of that bridge pulpit and I lost a really big fish actually under the concrete work right at the side of it. It's probably the biggest fish I've hooked since I've been here. It'd be probably 1.5 pounds, 2 pound. It just went berserk and shot straight back under everything and brought me off. And then I did lose 1 up in there as well. But we'll see. I've had 9 for the 4 hours. It's definitely not good. I mean, the crack was that some beats on the Aude could maybe produce 50 in 4 hours, 25 and 25 or something like that, but whether that's true or not's another thing. So we'll just have to see. Not a great start. Somebody else can have the pleasure of this tomorrow.
I'm sure if I'd have had time and access to look at the rest of that beat, because there was no access. It was the main road, you know, which was up a cliff and, you know, with a forest in between it and the river, or it was impenetrable bankside undergrowth. You know, if I'd have gone to that beat knowing, or having seen it before, or, you know, like the local guys or people who maybe had fished there before, I would have known to ignore the bottom 250 yards and start in the middle and work up fast. But you're working completely in the dark, and that's one of the things a lot of people think. You've got to make a lot of decisions and then you've got to do it in a very short space of time. 2 hours is nothing when you're fishing. It flies, it's like that. And when you mix into that, having to retie leaders, breaking flies off occasionally and falling in like I did in part of it, you know, it's a massive time sink. So yeah, the Aude was not kind to me. The local guy, Sebastian Delcourt, he won it by an absolute mile. I mean, he lives right near the river, it's his home river. I think he had like nearly 50 fish in the 2 sessions. I think he had 48. But even then, down to second place, there was a 20 fish gap. You know, it dropped off significantly, then it dropped off again, and then it went down into the low numbers. But yeah, not a great start, but I've had plenty of bad starts before, so you just have to dust yourself off and keep going. The reality is, in a World Championships, if you want to medal individually, you can't have a bad session. That just doesn't happen. If you have a bad session, your chances of a medal have already deteriorated significantly. I'll not lie and say it's, you know, that it doesn't cross your mind when you're having bad sessions, and I know that I'm costing the team points, and of anybody in the team, you know, I should be the one that's sort of saving us more points. So I always personally feel that I've let the team down to some degree when I've had bad results. On balance, one of my strong points is that I'm very stubborn, and I do have the ability to draw a line under it and treat every day and every session as a new one. You know, if anything, bad sessions just make me angry.